What will create difference in coming future will be technology on one part that will create work opportunities.
You know, the technology innovation is what's quite unpredictable at the moment, you know, because you never really know what breakthrough is going to take place till there is a breakthrough.
How can we build a future where we don't need to generate as much energy?
The biggest change I anticipate seeing is actually cryptocurrency being regulated.
Work from home is here to stay.
I think we'll probably be at a place in 30 years where we can have a virtual conference where we feel like we're in a room with someone.
How do you get entrepreneurs very early on to embed sustainability into their product or service design?
The major problem in society right now that we're going to have in the future will be antibiotic resistance.
I do think that cash will be a thing of the past very soon. Personally, I stopped using cash a long time ago.
I think about 20 years ago, the technology wasn't there for, online transfer. You needed physical bags of money. And that had its own cost, the security cost, the transport cost, and all these other factors that you needed to consider. But now, it's much more easier to lose.
Crypto, blockchain, these are things that will change the banking space. We've seen a lot of companies begin to accept some of these, and it's the regulation. Regulators will have to keep running ahead.
Because there is a lot of traction towards the startup mentality, there needs to be support as well. There needs to be support for people that want to start businesses so that they know what it takes to start a business.
Actually, we've got a growing number of people in the UK who don't have the social skills to work or don't have the social skills to interact with other people. Back to my something I said earlier about the rise in technology and actually people communicating more through digital means and a reduction in those whatever normal means, kind of social interaction skills.
But even in the science sector, where we do a lot of, lab work and we need to be present to be able to actually do that, I feel like we're able to also be productive outside work, where we're able to work, from home and do our analysis from home, have remote control over, certain equipment, which is obviously down to technology as well, where we're able to have, VPN access to our computers.
I can only hope that kind of technology will sort of humanize the experience of being with others far away as much as it's useful. I hope we don't get things like smells and things like that.
Now there's a lot of talk about mental health, but it's only going to get worse because when people just keep going, humans are not designed to always be on a treadmill. There needs to be pauses here and there. And the moment you start forgetting, that's really the foundation of some very serious personal finance problems.
There'll be a prevalence of things like autism, ADHD, epigenetic conditions that have been caused by lockdowns, increase in poor mental health, and people feeling isolated.
In the UK, there are racial inequalities. I mean, it's the case across the world. But racial inequalities affect the economy of the UK. And they're affected in many ways. There are generations of families that have never had a job once they finish school. So when we speak about a work-life balance, who do we have in mind? What's the picture? Who's the face of this work-life balance?
We are already in information age. We may go into artificial intelligence age, but parallelly, there will be another age, and that will be called conceptual age. If you are a scientist and you are an artist, you are going to be the successful person in coming days. And that is how you're going to create the opportunities.
There's been a lot of talks about autonomy and about making things so that there's no human intervention. But what I think will happen is there'll be a mixture. There'll be like a combination of autonomy with humans, involving humans.
At least currently, we don't have enough doctors to give everyone personalized individual attention. And so we're leaning on things like artificial intelligence and decision-making from artificial intelligence. And there will be times when the AI is going to make the wrong decision multiple times. And every single time that happens, we're going to have to ask the question, is it worth it? Do we want to go back to humans? The new science that I'm learning about around artificial intelligence systems is coming in. It's about we can tell computers what to do, and they can train themselves to make decisions. But how do we, from the outside, know when they've made the right decisions?
We've only just started moving fully to electric. I see that in the next 30, 40 years also, we could, something new that could be much more sustainable also could come up.
So I do think we still need the further innovation, further breakthroughs, maybe direct carbon air capture or carbon reutilization, or just something completely different that's unknown to all of us, because again, we don't know what these breakthroughs will be till they happen.
We need to invest in a low energy infrastructure, and the energy that we do need to generate, and of course we will need to generate it, should come from true renewables, and it will have to by 2050 if we want a sustainable future. So things like offshore wind, onshore wind, solar power, and if we want a future, we need real solutions to energy.
If it's not managed properly, you might get to a point where energy becomes, they begin to ration it, where some people might be able to get this on a certain day. When productivity is reduced, it just increases the economic, wealth gap between the rich and the poor. And it just, creates more problems. It doesn't solve them. So I think it's very important that we get the energy under control, the cost especially, and start thinking of alternative ways to sustain the world.
Being in science and being in research, I realize how much time it takes for, a new development to have. But we can also see that it can be very quick, like we've seen with, the pandemic, being able to, produce a vaccine very quickly. But I think what we're lacking in general in society is this collaboration between, institutes, talking to each other, understanding, okay, what are we doing?
It will be easier in the future if the medical industry comes to our homes, whether that's in the form of robots or the vans that come just come around with their portable little doctors that just come and come to your homes, because I think that's one of the main issues is how to get to get an appointment. And I think through engineering, through maybe making all the machinery smaller, because I know one of the big issues, for example, with a brain scan is that this machine is massive, and possibly by developing new technology that makes it smaller, or maybe the possibility of having a foldable and unfoldable sort of CT scan a machine that you can just set up at someone's home, that would make the process so much easier, so much more affordable.
I don't think we can ever get rid of cancer, but I think we can cure cancer. That's where I think it's going to be an easy process. Rather than, right now people are dying progressively of cancer, I think it will be something that we can literally fix, just like cataracts. I feel like a lot of money is being invested right now in cancer research and not thinking about, the use of, how we're, giving people antibiotics constantly. However, the bacterial population, which we're not controlling, is kind of being resistant. Because I feel like antibiotic resistance is not something that is evident, just like cancer, just like dementia. You don't see the implications of it physically, but I feel like it can take out a whole population.
We've seen COVID-19 evolve, adapt to its environment, if you will. Perhaps like flu, perhaps the COVID pandemic and variations of it will be something that crop up, appear, and have a significant impact on the way we live our lives over the coming decade and centuries.
We still have that dream to fly. And then there is a dream to reach anywhere more quickly. So the future of the aviation will be more personalized. Instead of car, I will be driving my flying car.
I see inventions that are going to make traveling, that are going to make the whole idea of being a global citizen to be something that is very easily accessible.
One of the challenges that I see for the airline system or the aviation industry right now is what energy and fuel sources can we use or can they use and still continue to be green, sort of environmentally friendly. And that has to do a lot with the energy density of fuels. So right now, jet fuel is very energy dense, in particular for its weight, which means it produces a lot of energy for a very limited weight. There are lots of challenges associated with hydrogen fuel economies, but also there are lots of benefits, in particular that we have infrastructure that is built and designed to handle fuel systems in pipes or liquid fuels in pipes across long distances. So we might almost be able to utilize that legacy infrastructure in a way that doesn't create large networks of dead assets. So
what I expect to see, anticipate seeing, is actually security controls from the moment I leave my home all the way to an airport, increasing biometrics. It's kind of scary, really, because it is a great intrusion of privacy based on current levels.
I want to be able to fly to Australia in an hour if I can, because I've always wanted to travel. Who knows? Maybe I can go to the moon and just play a football game in the moon. I don't know. It could become something that's so normal to sort of just fly around really quickly and really easily that we'll take it as if it's just private transport like cars nowadays. So
I think I'm going to have my personal satellite in coming days. So we are going to develop some micro satellites. Instead of a satellite of a government, I can have my own satellite, and instead of doing something with my smartphone and relying upon the internets of the other agencies, I will be having my own customized satellites and own customized internet space.
comparing to at the moment where most satellites are communication satellites, I think they'll also serve as possible stations for interplanetary travel, and they could also aid with, who knows, maybe energy extraction from the sun.
Space travel will become much more commercialized.
I see space being something that is not very distanced from us. So I see it being a place of exploration, yes, but also a place of experience where we can actually not only think about it, but be part of it in a very tangible way.
There's something specific about Mars, with there being less gravity. So maybe something fun. We'll be flying there for the afternoon and having some jumping around, and maybe there'll be a new sport about using that sort of lower gravity.
I think we'll probably be celebrating my 50th in space. Might get married in space.
I think it becomes a really important question for us as sort of a human species when we think about, do we move a colony, do we create a colony on other planets? I don't know when and if that would happen. I think that it would really require us to have some sort of unifying enemy or a unifying challenge that we're going to face. And that might be climate change, but it might be something else.
You never know, we will be having a flying restaurant in coming years. Let us eat in the air, because land is going to be short.